Hello, everyone. Hi. Let's see if I can do this. Ba-da-da. Hey. So, today I'm going to be starting something. I'm going to be starting something. I got my mic plugged up. Hopefully, it's better. So, the last time I used OBS, for some reason, maybe I have to update the drivers for this webcam. But for some reason, the mic built into this camera the one that you see this camera, um, it doesn't work with OBS anymore. OBS doesn't pick up the audio, and so I was using a different mic source, and that mic source lags. That's why it was a little bit of audio lag because I didn't have this microphone plugged up, the podcast mic, but it is now. Um, I wouldn't say the setup is legit, but it's working. And so I was watching the Libra reading from my buddy Chad at Chad Tarot, and the Queen of Cups came out, and he's using the movie tarot right now. He's been using it lately. He's using it for the April monthlies, and the Queen of Cups is Amelie from Amelie Poulain, and I just watched Amelie last Saturday evening, almost a week ago, with my buddy and my buddies, with my friends. Um, and it was an amazing movie. It's something that I heard about a long time ago. I saw a little bit, but we watched the whole thing, and I wanted to do a spread about it because why not? And so I'm looking for my phone. Here it is. Because I made notes, but I was going to do it all as one. But I think I'm actually going to, because like some of these are a little deeper. If I could formulate a sentence, that'd be cool, wouldn't it? Some of these are like I don't want to condense it as much. So I'm going to go in the order that I listed these in. So the first is the traveling gnome. And then it's going to be a playlist. I created the playlist. I also created a playlist for the three judges just to keep it all in one nice convenient place. I'm actually going to write these down as they come to me. I was going to build it before, but I wanted to do it here. Feels a little more organic, but I wanted to write it down so I don't forget. So, the traveling gnome. What decks do I want to use for this? Oh, duh. I'm going to use the Tarot Apocalypsis as one. Also going to use I'm gonna combine the Wild Unknown Tarot and Animal Spirits. Oh gosh. And then that's what I'll do here. Why do I have the tea leaves? Okay. I'm going to timestamp in the description box when things begin. Because there's going to be a lot of writing and recording and things like that. Okay. So, I don't like... I wish I could do this and not, like, spoil the whole movie. I'll try to find a way. So, the traveling gnome is related to... There's a character in the movie who is super into gnomes. Garden gnomes. But their partner didn't like it. And so, while their partner was living, they kept the gnome in the shed. So that's going to be the first one. First is the shed. Oh no! I don't want to do it here. I'll do it here, I guess. Alright. So this is the traveling gnome. N-O-M-E. So number one is the shed. And so after that person passed, he brought it out, right? He also, it was his dream or their dream. It was their dream to travel the world, but they couldn't travel the world because of the condition of their daughter. Now, the condition of their daughter was a misunderstanding. So 2 is going to be the conditions. The circumstances. The circumstance. And then it's going to be 3. 3 is the cause. No, well, 3 is the action. 4 is the reaction. And these are going to fall under 2. And so to encourage that person to, pursue their dream of traveling, because now the circumstances have changed to the point where they can't do that. But for some reason they didn't want to. The gnome ends up going on a journey instead. So, but we also find out that the gnome was a gift. So we'll do 5 will be the gift. And then, how many cards? Maybe I'll do like top, middle, and bottom. So 6 through 9. No, 6 through 8. 6, 7, and 8. Or 9, because I said 9. Is the journey, the gnome's journey. And there won't be a 10. I like leaving things open-ended. Like if I do a Celtic cross, if I can help it, I don't really like pulling outcomes, because I feel like those are choices and decisions that we make, right? So it's like, here's the information, here's what here's some influencing factors that you may not be consciously aware of. Here's some things, some other things, and like, it's all the information, but you make the choice. And I know the outcome is like, if you listen to the guidance of the tarot, then that will be sort of what's projected. But I don't know. 7 of Swords and the Snake. 7 of Swords and the Snake. Okay, I'm going to turn this off. Excuse me. At the bottom of the decks. What's interesting about this is it goes back to the Mother of Wands, Mother of Cups energy. Where there was the person who was convinced that they were a snake, but they weren't. And the fox turns itself into mice to lure the snakes out of the grass, things of that nature. It came out before. I'm just gonna mix this up a little bit. Oops, okay. 5 of Pentacles, 7 of Pentacles, and Fire Ants came out. One Fire Ant by itself, it's annoying, but it doesn't do too much damage. It's only when many of them come together that their impact is really felt. And the 5 of Pentacles into the 7 of Pentacles, I guess especially relating to the traveling gnome, it speaks of like, maybe there was a time where we wanted to do something, but we couldn't. or there were disappointments over time. It was one thing and then it was another thing. There was always a reason, there was always an excuse, to the point where excuses became our habit. So even when there isn't a valid reason or a valid excuse, we still don't necessarily do the thing because that's the habit that we formed. And again, it's like one thing by itself wouldn't necessarily lead someone to become who they are. But many things over time, it's an energy of like establishing a railroad. The B is at the bottom of the deck. All work and no play makes Jack a dull boy just popped into my mind. It's about also enjoying yourself. It's also about how what is all this? So the whale came out. The B is also about, oh, if I could focus. Things are a little purple right now. It's fine. There you go. How you have the ability to help others grow just by almost like sheer happenstance, right? The bees collect pollen to create honey to feed themselves, but as a result they end up pollinating and cross-pollinating flowers, right? But I don't know if the bee is necessarily intentionally pollinating flowers as much as it is taking care of itself. But the bee also works as a community for the queen. And so it's like when we have these, I guess, higher potentials, or not higher potentials, when we have these higher goals and higher aims, we leave the door open to expanding that impact even more when we're in that energy of a communal effort, right? The moth, the deer, the lizard, the dolphin, the nightingale. What's this? Air, earth, fire, water, and air. Oh, snap, we got all the elements here. So this is how I'll do this. Oops. So the whale speaks of deep knowledge, understanding, also kind of sort of magic, of old magic, also of protection and warding. A magic of, it is a magic of protection, but once a certain area or energy is breached, then it comes in as a redo. So this, I guess it's carrying an energy of a cycle of incarnations. It's incarnating for a purpose, incarnating for a reason, or gathering, strengthening certain skills, gifts, and abilities through. It's like if there's, it's like the bees and the queen bee. Like the queen bee is your soul. All of the worker bees is like the different incarnations that you've had. Every one is sort of like feeding the queen, gathering things for the queen. But in each incarnation, it's like you have a different experience. You're born into a different set of circumstances. Things play out differently. But there is sort of a central theme. And so you experience sort of many different aspects of the same issue. And depending on how it's handled, it's like it strengthens and grows that gift and ability to make it more and more impactful. Can y'all hear the vacuum? It's gonna get closer. So, when it comes to the air, there's the moth. Air is the mind, air is communication, air is thoughts. And with this being, it's like the moth to the flame, there's a certain, like, between these different and seemingly. Here we go. I was like, where's my phone? I don't know how I keep losing this thing. Between these different seemingly, I guess disparate is the word that I want to use. I'm going to ask Siri to define it to see if that's the word I want to use. Girl, she's getting loud. Hey Siri, define disparate.
Desperate means
Not desperate.
feeling, showing, or involving a hopeless sense that a situation is...
Define disparate. Essentially different in kind, not allowing comparison. Siri didn't read it, but there you go. Oh, well, you can't see it now. um, they're seemingly disparate, and so the moth being here, it's that energy of like not being able to maintain a certain completeness in these different perspectives. And so it's like many, many, many moths to the same flame. They all have their eye on the same sort of prize. They're all moving in that direction, but there's no communication between them. And that's the veil of forgetfulness, right? The deer in earth. The deer in earth, it almost speaks to a certain set of circumstances every time. The deer isn't an apex predator. It's almost like, oops. This is going to be so much longer, but that's fine. It's almost like there's always, or like there's never, it's like there's always challenge, right? Who is this? Oh, the beaver. Yeah, there's always challenges, there's always blockages, there's always something to overcome. The lizard being in fire, it's giving me an energy of like camouflage through the chameleon. It's giving an energy of regeneration also through the chameleon and the lizards that can like regenerate pieces after they've been sort of cut off. It's a cold-bloodedness. It's something that matches its environment. And then the dolphin in water is an element of playfulness. It's an element of intrigue, an element of intellection. And so there's a sort of flightiness when it comes to the mind. There's almost, it feels like a lack of substantial or sustained stability in the physical. It feels like a lukewarmness when it comes to the fire, which is our sort of embodiment of our soul. And then when it comes to the dolphin, it's a very curious and playful sort of energy when it comes to connectivity, but also dolphins can be bullies. Down here, we have the nightingale. I feel like the nightingale is where we are. These are our challenges. This is sort of the goal. The goal is to, in each of these areas, experience some evolution so we can become the whale. And so, with the air, it's about, in some ways, maybe learning to think for yourself or being critical of things, not just going after whatever the flame is. In earth, it's about learning not to necessarily be overly cautious, but it's not to like be that deer in headlights constantly being chased by this predator or that predator. It's about creating a sort of sustainable stability while maintaining an element of openness and vulnerability. With the lizard in the fire, it's about not relying on your environment to provide you the warmth that you need to sustain yourself. It's also about maybe learning to stand out rather than blend in. With the dolphin, I feel like it's about deepening emotional connections and like being in a position where they can be a little bit more serious, if that makes any sense. And they don't need to always be so like lighthearted. It can be, but it's also to be able to, reach that level of depth with the whale. Now, I don't know much about nightingales, but it looks like this is a bird singing at the top of the earth, standing on there, singing up, calling down the spirit. It also involves an energy of the power of your voice. It's like the voice of that nightingale projects light into a space of darkness. But again, it's like, it's almost like it's teaching you to be able to, or to learn how to escape any situation almost. But it's also feeding this bird too. Okay. All right, all right. All right. Let's get into this. Ooh, the lion at the bottom of the deck. With the fire, the lion instead of the lizard. The lion, the lizard, and the wardrobe. Okay. Alright, let's get into this. So I'm going to timestamp here at 21 minutes. I'm going to come in here and edit real quick. So 0000 introduction and pre-pull. Oops, pre-pull. I'll say 2130 into the intro, into the cards. All right. So for the most part, I think I have everything that I want. So I'm going to get 9 cards. I'm going to clarify with the Tarot Apocalypsis. And then this will be it for today. So I think I have... I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 6 different things. So if you're curious, it's the Traveling Gnome, the Girl with a Glass of Water, the Ghost of the Phone Booth, the Plight of the Veggie Whisperer, the Obsessives, and the Lost Lover. Who was the Lost Lover? Oh, wait, no. I don't know, girl. Maybe I'll remember by the time I get down there. Lover so lost up again. I just did this. See, this is why I write stuff down. Oh, I just saw the Cosmic Hig. Okay, goodness. This is... Alright, I'm just going to shuffle and then I'll pull from the top because these cards keep coming out. The cards that came out, it's the 7 of Swords, the Wheel of Fortune, and the 2 of Swords. This is an energy here. It feels like self-deception. It feels like self-limitation. Realizing the ways that you keep the things that you want out of your life. The Wheel of Fortune is desiring the change. The 2 of Swords is the process of rewriting your habits, thoughts, your patterns, the condition, not the conditions. It's like you changing the things that you do to get in your own way. With the Daughter of Wands and the Wheel of Fortune, it's about being a little more, it's about like having more foresight when it comes to what you desire. And it's about moving forward in a way that sees the fulfillment of that rather than moving forward in ways that like ultimately sort of work against you with the 7 of Swords. Bottom of the deck is the 7 of Wands. That's having the strength to stand apart. Maybe this could also be like you feel like a Daughter of Wands. And so to mature, you do, like you try to repeat what other people do. But with this 6 of Swords, or with the 7 of Swords and the 7 of Wands, it carries this energy of like everyone else's way of going about it won't work for you. You have to like stand in your own light, find your own way, and then those things will be returned to you. And that's how you begin to shift and move this wheel. The 2 of Swords then comes in as an energy of like, it's like the things that you feel and what is like proven or what should work, this is a clash between them. So that's what this is. Instead of following in someone else's footsteps, it's forging your own path. Okay? And then there's the Son of Wands. So hey, that's we just went from the page to the night. Oh, and then there's the shark. The shark and the horse. Oh, horses, I guess they say you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. Horses can swim, but I don't know if horses are out in like where sharks are. So I'll give this 3 more. Oh gosh. So there's a whale. 2, 1. And here's the wolf. So this is 1. This is 2, 3, and 4. This is 5. This is 6, 7. That's a whole bunch. That's 8. I'll take them. And then 9. Ooh, okay. Bottom of the deck is the golden egg. This is a golden opportunity. Golden eggs give birth to like golden geese, right? The golden goose lays the golden egg. Or I guess it was a regular goose that laid golden eggs. There's also like a golden child energy. And all of this, it's taking an energy of mental. It's like a mental fog. Because you were seen in a certain type of way that it's like however you're seen, it betrays what it is that you need. Right? Because eventually the golden egg should hatch into something. It shouldn't be a golden egg forever. But it's also an energy of like no one really knows how to nurture or care for something like this. And it kind of sort of goes back to that 7 of Swords, 7 of Wands energy of like if you handle it or treat it as if it's something else or if it's run of the mill or average or ordinary, it's not going to grow. It needs a certain set of circumstances or a different set of circumstances in order for it to hatch. And like we intuitively know what they are. But it can be sort of difficult to discover. So I'm going to pull these out, give these a shuffle, and then we'll get into this. Oh, here's this Ace of Swords. I forgot the Ace of Swords kept coming out in this deck. With the world at the bottom. Okay. And I feel like that's also the thing with like the snakes and the foxes. It was that energy of like you being convinced that you are a certain way when that's not the truth of your nature, right? That was the Mother of Wands instead of the Mother of Cups. Now, in relation to... I already forgot what I was looking at, girl. The golden egg. In relation to the traveling gnome, it's like the circumstances have changed. Like I said, it's like there was a reason why the gnome was in the garden shed, but then the gnome came out. And just like the gnome came out of the shed, the character had the opportunity to pursue what it is that they wanted to pursue basically for their whole life. But because of that, what was that energy? The 5 of Pentacles, the 7 of Pentacles into whatever the other card was. It's like the fire ants. It's like it's been put off for so many different reasons for so long. It's like when you have the opportunity, you don't necessarily take it. But now is the time. The circumstances are perfect to hatch that golden egg. Can a golden egg fetch you a sum of money? Yeah, but that's a sum of money that comes once. If you hatch that golden egg, it's like the gift that keeps on giving. It's an opportunity that continuously unfolds. It's like a matryoshka golden egg. It'll hatch. And at the same time it hatches, whatever comes out comes with another golden egg. Okay. So, one more timestamp, just because I'm going to say 30-20. I'll say pulling. Let's see. I'll say 30-30 by this point. Into the cards. I love timestamping as I do this because then I get a little lazy after. I'm like, oh, I don't feel like doing it. Okay. So, number one is the shed. The shed is the prison of sorts, and it's the Son of Wands. Oh, hold up, let me swap this real quick. So the shed is the Son of Wands. The Son of Wands is an interesting energy. It's an energy that moves forward with what it perceives to be the truth. The cards that came out as I was sort of getting all of these, it's the whale, the butterfly, and the wolf. So there's an energy of transformation between the whale and the wolf. That's water, air, and earth. The fire is the soul, so we don't necessarily need that to be represented. The water being the whale, it's like a depth. It's a possible depth of connectivity. The air being the butterfly it's in a space of change and transition. Thoughts, ways of coming to conclusions, thinking, rationalizing, analyzing, logic is changing. Earth being the wolf, it's a misunderstood dynamic. It's like we think that it's every man for themselves, lone wolf type of energy, but in reality, it's all of us. It's always in a pack. If you see a lone wolf, you see one of, like, if you see a single bee, right? You don't assume that that bee goes back to a hive of its own. You know that that bee is going back to a lot more bees. The bee is going back to the queen. If you see a lone wolf, but it's like when we see the wolf by itself, we assume it's alone, rather than it's doing what it needs to do, and then it's going to bring something back to the pack, right? And so that's this change, that's the deepening of this connection. I feel like there was a lot of like emotional dissatisfaction before because we had the capability. Like we maintained that capability of the connection. We just weren't operating at that level. But as things change, dynamics will change, right? We're going to realize that we could have gone traveling all along. Potentially. So, the Son of Swords, especially coming after this is the shed is old thought patterns. It's things that made sense at the time. They're almost relics of the past though, right? Because it's like the Knight of Swords is not the King or Queen of Swords. It's limited by its current understanding. It hasn't lived enough life, it hasn't experienced enough difference in order to sort of evaluate whether or not what it believes or thinks is universal. But it acts on it, right? Because it thinks it's the truth. So, let's see. The Four of Wands, the Queen of Wands. There's an energy here of like making yourself look attractive, or the things that you think you have to be attractive, right? And so with this Knight of Swords, it can be very easy to dismiss the ways that you already are, the things that you already have, like your own qualities, for what you think other people will want. I don't think this is like a true Queen of Wands energy. I feel like it's one that is worn. It's kind of sort of a facade. It's how you want to be perceived. So this is like the shed is the ways in which you act to be perceived in the way in which you want to be perceived. Okay. The circumstance is the stingray. Bottom of the deck was the tower. So things are falling apart. You're starting to realize maybe that what you were conditioned to be fulfilled by, or what you thought was giving you fulfillment, actually isn't. What you thought was stability, or what you thought was stable and unchanging, isn't, especially after last year. And so it's coming into an energy of shifting your priorities. Now the stingray, like we see all 7 chakras here. So this it's an element of spiritual and even emotional alignment. I don't know if it's necessarily aligned though. It's like realizing how all of the different factors contributed to the position that you were in before. The magician. Because it's like maybe you were using all of the tools that you had at your disposal in ways that didn't fully serve you. Right? That could be ways of thinking that you held, thinking about yourself or others, or the dynamics between you and others. That could have been habits that didn't serve you. Maybe like not the best health habits, or more like things that affect your physical life, right? It could have been what you desired not serving you, especially coming off of this. It's like that's like buying into the social media craze, basically. It's like, I want to do this and post this so I look a certain way so other people envy me, or like so I can live the lifestyle that I envy. And then with the water, it's an energy of like it feels like connecting to people who don't really serve you because you don't want to be alone, because you want to climb the social ladder or whatever, right? Because of something lacking within yourself. This was you utilizing your earth, wind, air, and fire in ways that put you in a position that you didn't like. So it is aligned in some ways. It's just not aligned to what you would want. It's more like maligned, right? Or misaligned. So the action is the Son of Pentacles. The reaction is the Son of Cups. This is interesting. Oh, wait. Because it feels like what this is feeling like now, it's almost coming through as an energy of like accidental alignment, or it's an alignment like you properly did things but you didn't recognize what you were doing. And so you experienced brief moments maybe of abundance, or brief moments of stability. You experienced better days, brighter times, because you were aligning towards something. But with the Son of Cups, it feels like an energy of indulgence, or it feels like an energy of maybe misattributing what you were doing that led to the certain results that you got. And so it's like you think that going A, B, C, D is what was bringing you whatever abundance you were temporarily experiencing, or whatever peace you were experiencing, whatever progress and progression you were experiencing. But in reality, it's like it was F, Z, H, and Q. And see, like they're looking in different directions. Either that, or it's like you stopped doing what you were doing that was giving you this progression. Because this is the action. Like the Son of Pentacles happened, then you became the Son of Cups. But the circumstance up here is the stingray and the magician. And sometimes it's like, I don't know if it's like biologically true, but it feels like the stingray can accidentally sting itself. And so insert an energy of like protection. But when you're so guarded and protected and isolated, that it begins to eventually work against you. Right? I don't know why Machiavelli, it's better to be feared than loved, just popped into my mind. But then in reality, it's like it's better to be loved than feared, because eventually we all need somebody. Let's see. What is this? I want 3 cards to bridge these. 9 of Wands. 9 of Swords. The Devil. Okay. So there was... Maybe I'll try to unify this at the end. Remember that... I mean, there are many different things that affect us, right? That's what came out before. It's fire ants. It's 5 of Pentacles into the 7 of Pentacles into the fire ants. So it may not necessarily be extremely cohesive. This is coming through as an energy right here of like, you are making forward progression and movement. It expanded your desires. It made you dream more because you were experiencing more. But then you hit blockages, you hit setbacks. It's like you got more distracted by what you could have than you were diligent about what you were doing to get there. And so it feels like you hit a roadblock with the 9 of Wands. You hit a point in time where you start to slow down and you're not experiencing as much progression, especially coming after the 8 of Wands. But then with the 9 of Swords, it puts you in a position of like anxiety, despair, wondering, questioning. It's a very like, I keep butting my head against the wall no matter what I do. And when you're in that energy, devil energy comes in to try to tempt you. It tempts you off of the path. That's where the Son of Cups strays. That's when, again, it's like it stops moving in the ways that it was moving that got it closer and closer and closer to where it wanted to be. And it's just like understanding that there are going to be slower points. There are going to be times of like perceived setbacks and delays. But it isn't necessarily for you to quit. It isn't necessarily for you to give up. It isn't necessarily for you to stop doing what you're doing. You may be experiencing delays because it's time for you to deepen your understanding in another area. And again, it's like it's the opposite. It's the same fire ants energy, but just as like fire ants can cause pain and discomfort, they can also cause pleasure and joy. And so it's like you're so focused on this bee and this bee and that bee. But it's like, okay, well, like we need more than just this. There are other fields that need to be pollinated. We also need to send the bees in other directions because, you know, if you keep going to the same flowers, eventually they ain't gonna have no nectar or whatever left to give you. Eventually those are gonna run dry, but your abundance is limitless. There are more flowers in other fields, and so it pulls your attention somewhere else. There's another direction. There's another way in which you need to grow. There's something more that you need to integrate. This alignment is deepening. It's evolving. And so you need to evolve with it. And in that time, if you continue to do what you were doing, you may miss this. That's when things slow down. That's when you encounter the roadblocks. And in a moment of desperation, it makes you very susceptible to devil energy. Devil energy doesn't necessarily have to be you doing something that you know you shouldn't be doing, trying to get what you want. Devil energy could be you falling like further and deeper into despair or depression about why this isn't working, but in reality, you're shifting into another direction. You're still growing. Whew, okay. So 5 is the gift. This was a gift, the gnome. The gift is the 6 of Cups. Bottom of the deck is the King of Wands. I don't know why I look at the bottom of the deck after I move on to the next card. The 6 of Cups being the gift. There's an energy of recognition here. But it isn't recognition for what you have, like, it's not like 6 of Wands recognition in that it's something being recognized for what you're currently doing. With the Six of Cups, it's like there's a recognition for things that you've already done, like in the past. It's like a retirement gift. It's like no one celebrated you necessarily all of those years that you were at work, but now that it's time for you to leave, you get everything that you've been missing out on. This is interesting because while you've been Knight of Pentaclesing, your reward, your abundance has been stockpiling and growing and growing and growing more and more. In the moment, you didn't see it. You didn't like feel that recognition. You maybe didn't feel appreciated, and you're like, my kindness isn't appreciated, so I'm gonna go cold. I'm not gonna be nice to anybody anymore. I'm not gonna do this. I'm not gonna do that. I'm not going to be the light worker, the light, the love, the joy, the safe haven, the peace for other people because I don't get recognized. I don't get appreciated, and so then it turns you a little dark. With the darkness in that cup, it turns you a little sour, turns you a little bitter. You stop doing what you were doing to accrue whatever it is that you were accruing. And so what it does is somehow it gets you to turn away from the fulfillment of that reward when you get it. Maybe it leads you to not being able to recognize how you are appreciated, or prioritizing more how you're not appreciated rather than how you are. It turns your gaze, it turns your focus. That's why they're not looking in the same direction anymore. And it also feels like an energy of like you've been growing in ways that in the moment you didn't even necessarily comprehend or understand because like you live with yourself every day. And so in your perspective, maybe it looks like things are a lot slower, but from the outside, it's like things are a lot quicker. Like the difference is so noticeable. Let's clarify this. And that's interesting because it was a gift for his service. I think he was like a doctor or something like that. The gnome was a gift. Now, he was like a military doctor. And so, when you're healing in a space of so much contention, from the outside, it's like, well, you're not a fighter, you're not doing this, you're not causing the destruction, and you're not out there saving whatever, protecting whatever. So from the outside, it can be easy to minimize the work that those field medics do. But on the inside, for the soldiers who are, injured, or for those who need it the most, that's where they're appreciated. And so again, it's an energy maybe of not properly focusing on the appreciation. And that's this thing right here. That ties us all the way back here. Because it's like, you'd rather be this Queen of Wands, you'd rather be the desirable. And so instead of you doing the things that align to you, the things that actually matter and that are actually important, you seek the status like, oh, you want the glory, so you're out there on the battlefield, you're doing all these things. Again, devil energy tempting you away from what it is that you should be doing. Not you should be doing. It's like, it's right, because again, like, it isn't that this energy is necessarily unaligned, it's maligned. It's aligned to something, just not aligned to what you want. This gets you to align to something that you don't want. Through the sake of like, I want to be appreciated, I want to be a hero, I want the accolades, I want the Six of Wands recognition, I don't want the Six of Cups recognition. Yet, like, you're grateful to me, thanks. Like, I got 10 people who like me, okay. Well, I want 10 million people who adore me. But the Six of Wands, it's a lot less substantial than the Six of Cups. Those are people who appreciate, or who it's like bandwagon people who like you, like when you're on top, when you're winning. But when you go through difficulty, like fair weather friends, fair weather fans, fair weather people in your life, when things slow down, they leave you. Six of Cups is always there. And that's what the depth, with the Whale card, that's what the depth of your impact has the ability to create. But with the Knight of Pentacles, again, it's like the fulfillment of that is a lot slower. Because you have an impact in the moment. You help change someone's life in the moment. It may take them 5, 10, 2, 15 years until they're in a position, but they trace that all the way back to you. Now, all of a sudden, 10 years later, 5 years later, 15 years later, all of these people are coming back to you. Like, thank you for doing this. Thank you for being there. Thank you for doing that in this position in this time where I had nobody. Like, you were a godsend. I feel like God literally sent you. Thank you. Now let me give back. It's delayed. It's not immediate. It isn't necessarily as flashy, but that doesn't make it any less important. But again, up here with the Knight of Swords, it's like it's all about seeking the wrong things. And there's that like Queen of Wands, Mother of Wands energy again in a position where her influence, it's maligned. It's misaligned. It isn't necessarily bad, but it's like this isn't the time for that energy. Amelie, the reason why I'm doing this whole spread again in that deck, she's the Queen of Cups. She's the Queen of Cups in that deck. Clarifying the very first thing is the Queen of Wands. Again. Oh, that's a lot of cards. Okay, so Judgment is here. The Chariot is here. And then the Hermit is here. Judgment, the Chariot, and the Hermit. Bottom of the deck is the Ten of Cups. Judgment, the Chariot, and the Hermit. Like, this is an energy of, like, again, your kindness has been noted. Your progress has been noted. It's just going to take some time to get to you. And in the, like, before it gets rewarded or before it's returned, you may think it's void. You may think it's not noticed. You may feel unappreciated with that Hermit, but that's not the case. It is moving with the Chariot, maybe in ways that you don't see with all of like these big moons or these dark energies with the stars. But with the Ten of Cups, it's like it's almost an energy where it's all sort of going to happen at once. Or it's like boom, 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 right? Because that's what happens with the Seven of Pentacles. You don't, like, the seeds don't grow immediately. But it's like you're constantly and continuously planting seeds. And when the season of blossoming and blooming and then subsequently the season of harvesting comes, it's like you're going to be able to harvest until the end of your days because you're continuously planting. But when you stop, when you turn away, you separate yourself from the very thing that's bringing it all into fruition. Right, and that's basically what he did in the movie. By the end, well, by the time the movie really begins, it's like he has the money, he has the resources, he's retired, he has the time. He can go and travel the world, but he doesn't. Next is, so this is the gnome's journey. So in the movie, the gnome goes on the trip that he wouldn't allow himself to because of previous circumstances and conditions and how he had been programmed by those circumstances and conditions. And one character is like, there's no reason for you to not do this. Ah! Look at that. Mother of Cups, where this Mother of Wands is. Oh, duh! The gnome takes the journey that he didn't take. That's why the gnome is starting with the Queen of Cups, where we're supposed to be, rather than that Queen of Wands again. I don't know why this... It's a theme. It continues to play out. So we're starting with the Queen of Cups. Second is the Five of Pentacles. So I'm not going to clarify the Queen of Cups. But I am... There we go. Thank you. The Five of Pentacles is clarified by the Princess of Swords. Page of Swords energy. This is the one that's open to new ideas. Honestly, though, it's carrying an energy of uniqueness. And so it is the one that's open to new ideas. But in the Swords family, like, proof is everything. There isn't necessarily, like, there hasn't been enough time. There haven't been enough circumstances to prove for this queen, or for, I guess, this future queen, for this Princess of Swords to prove that, you know, her new innovative idea is what's going to bring the kingdom the abundance that they're looking for. There's a little bit of an energy of a prophecy here, honestly, but it's a high priestess prophecy. This Princess of Swords actually knows the way, but the king and queen are doing like everything by the book, everything that they've already sort of been doing to try to fulfill that prophecy. And it's like, You know, if what you already knew outside of this energy, because this, like, earth is slow and water nurtures earth. That's why this takes time to grow. But when it comes to air, air is quick, almost sometimes immediate. And it's like for the king or queen, it's like if what you already knew was going to get you the result, you would have had it by now. If what you were doing was successful, you'd experience success by now. And again, like spirit is the one, like with these birds, bringing her this information, also working with her, also here because she's not even touching the sword. There's a little bit of an Excaliburian energy, a little bit of a sword in the stone type of energy, and she's pointing to you. She's pointing up to spirit. She's pointing to you. You are the chosen one. You will be the one who takes on this Ace of Swords, brand new knowledge, and who uses it out in the world to... What, there's another card here? The Three of Swords. That takes us to 4. I'll get to this in a second, though. She's pointing to you. You are the chosen one. You are the one who can take this information out. You are the one who needs to prove, basically. You have to prove to everyone else that this is successful. You have to continue doing what you were doing rather than seeking this sort of like external validation and celebration, right? Because the Four of Wands is a card that can involve a certain amount of celebration, but it's like a public celebration, right? More often than not. And so it's like weddings. They become these elaborate things to put on a certain show, to have a certain experience, but like what they're truly about is unifying two people. And you don't need all of the extra fanfare to validate that, well, like what it's actually about. This is about appearances. Now, with the Three of Swords being added, this clarifying the Five of Pentacles energy, it isn't necessarily conducive to... I feel like there's an energy of it sort of putting you in a space of being like isolated and alone. Right? It's not a Three of Cups, it's a Three of Swords. And so instead of it being celebrated and instead of you finding community in this space of uniqueness, it's like you're more pushed to the side. Very like Aquarian. Like a potential shadowy experience for an Aquarian energy. Where it's like you're seen as weird, you're seen as quirky and kind of sort of other, so you're sort of like left out. This is the pain of feeling left out. Oh gosh, but the healing of this is available to you. That's why she's pointing to this fourth sword. It's like you're stuck in the Three of Swords. She's working with spirit, trying to point you towards the fourth one where you can come out of that sort of heartbreak, where you can begin to heal, where you can begin to mend, where you can begin to put this Five of Pentacles energy behind you. Because, like, is this rose wilting in the moment? Yes. But is it dead? No. And if you care for it, if you nurture it, it can, like, that petal will grow back. And again, it brings me, like, that golden egg energy. Here's the goose, I guess, that lays the golden egg. You and your Mother of Cups energy. Instead of that Mother of Wands, Queen of Wands energy, you lay that golden egg. But you got to nurture it right. And again, Spirit is trying to lead you to the information on how to do that. The next part of the journey, we got a few cards. The Earthworm, the Crow, and the Frog. Here's, again, we have 3 different elements. Earth, air, and water. Fire is absent again. The frog is golden. Frogs speak of like innocence and play. Frogs also speak of both of these, actually, I think, can like breathe through their skin. And so there's an energy of like being able to take on certain nutrients directly from your environment in a way that a lot of other creatures can't. But that's why, you know, earthworms can be under the earth for so long, and that's why frogs, although, you know, they have lungs, they can be under the water because they can absorb oxygen through their skin. The skin of a frog is interesting, though. So there's an element of exchange of fluids and gases through the skin. And a lot of creatures exchange fluids and gases through the skin. I think humans are the only creatures on Earth that like sweat. Or maybe the only mammals that sweat. I was watching a Tirzu video the other day. And like that's what gives people the advantage when it came to like... That's like the source of the stamina of humans. Because like they don't have to stop and then pant or go drink some water or bathe in the mud to release heat from their body when it starts to get hot. They can sweat, and the sweat releases heat. And sweating isn't something that, you know, you have to tell your body to do. It's something that your body naturally does. And so here comes, it's inserting an energy here of like, it's almost like the ways in which you're designed to sort of naturally flourish in ways that you don't even necessarily have to think about. Inserting the element of spirit, air, with this crow and the crown jewel. But, and that, I guess that goes back to the lizard that was the element of fire. Instead of, and I was like, you know, when it comes to the element of fire, we need to basically, we need to learn how to sweat. Instead of going to the river when you're too hot or basking in the sun when you're too cold, it's about allowing your, what's that word? There's a word for the body's ability to basically create stability. Homeostasis, yeah. It's like when you're hot, you sweat. When you're cold, you shiver. And the movement and shivering warms you up. The sweat from when you're hot cools you down. Spirit's like you're already designed in whatever way you need to be. Like whatever you're seeking, you already have. It's innate within you. And you can take it in directly from your environment in a way that like you don't necessarily have to, right? So if you're in an environment where you can't inhale, then like keep your mouth closed. You can take in oxygen through your skin. Also with the earthworm, there's an ability here because the deer came out in earth, and that was like a always sort of frightened, always on edge, right? Just a wolf away from being a meal. But it's like you're able to move through the earth with this earthworm. And it's like, you know, I don't fully know how earthworms work, but it's like an in one end and out the other type of energy, right? You can take the nutrients that you need directly from the earth. Also, it does involve a certain amount of movement, though, because like if you don't move, and it's like when animals sort of like if you don't clean out the pen, then there's like poop everywhere. But earthworm poop, it's like it nourishes the plants. But they have to keep moving because if the earthworms don't keep moving, then there's going to be one patch of like super lush green grass, but the rest of the yard is going to die if the earthworms are only in one spot. Also, birds eat worms, but so there could be a sort of perceived energy of competition, but that isn't necessarily the case. That goes back to the deer perspective. It's like, oh, but the bird is going to eat me, but the bird is going to eat me. And it's like, girl, the bird already has this. The bird doesn't need to eat this worm. And so insert an energy of, again, there's something that's coming in to assist you, but devil energy is warping your perspective to the point where you're refusing it. That's the refusal rather than the acceptance that was up here. The tarot card that came out is the Lovers. So now we have two birds. I'd say that's you working in accordance with spirit. That's you doing the things, right? That maybe you were too afraid to do here. It's like these birds are trying to welcome you to the flock, but depending on your energy, you may be shooing them away. Also, with air, it came out as the moth earlier, but it's the crow here. Um, Crows can be intrigued. Crows are also collectors, but you know, the crow we see as a lot more intelligent than the moth. The crow isn't so overwhelmed by its desires that it will put itself in danger to get it, like a moth will literally burn itself in the flame. So there's an evolution there. And again, that evolution, it feels like a very like sort of fire energy evolution of not being so wrapped up in your own desires that you work against yourself, right? It's a little bit of an ego control. Also like an ego alignment, because crows, at least for me, carry a sort of like, this crow at the least is carrying that energy. And also the lovers is here, so that's in alignment. That's flying with spirit, flying free. Two more. Okay, there we go. Bottom of the deck is the Eight of Pentacles. It takes hard work to get there. Then look, there's Lord Ganesha in the back. Also, it's giving me the energy of the Seven of Pentacles in this deck that was in the water. The Eighth Pentacle has been retrieved. And look, now there's a bowl. Well, maybe not. It feels like there's an energy of a bowl of water here. But Amelie was the girl holding the glass, right? Oops, sorry, spoilers. She's the Queen of Cups. Oh, I love this. The Eight of Pentacles dedication, that like your prize lies beneath what you're cultivating. Eight of Pentacles, it didn't come out. Knight of Pentacles is here though. Who was that? Oh, look, the King of Pentacles is behind this Eight of Pentacles. The Prince of Pentacles is there. The Ten of Pentacles is here. Like, look at all this Pentacles energy. It's leading you to be the king, but it's you establishing it for yourself. Just like this, it's like, it's something new that's going to work for you. That's why you falling in line isn't going to bring you the abundance that you seek. You can't emulate and imitate what other people are doing. You're here to do something new. You're here to forge a trail, to blaze a path, and to pave it as you go so that others can follow you easier. The Five of Swords, this is that new Five of Swords energy, where it's almost like Spirit is putting you in position to do something new, to do something unique, to challenge yourself, and to rise to the occasion. It's an energy where maybe like you don't feel like you're getting all the guidance that you would like. Maybe you feel maybe a little abandoned, potentially. But you're in a new position being asked to do new things, and you're discovering, you're finding, you're also creating. And so it's like you can't be told what to do with this because you're supposed to make this your own. With this Magician up here, it's not you using your tools the ways that everyone else use theirs. It's about you finding a new way to use these things to get a new result. And this 5 is coming after the 4, between the Princess and the 3. What? What? When did these get down here? Okay. I don't know when these dropped. But again, like, that's the path to your Ten of Pentacles abundance. You're creating it now. You're discovering it now. You're blazing that trail now. You're aligning to it now with this Lovers rather than the Stingray. It's like the Lovers are aligned to that higher position. Again, you're flying with Spirit. Also, the Queen of Swords and the Six of Pentacles is here. The Six of Pentacles is an energy of like giving and receiving. You receive from the divine to give on earth. You become that beacon of light for others. Like, that's how, like, that's what our testimony should be. That's how we, not should be, that's one way of like of giving a testimony. It's through your life. That's one way of getting people to align to light and to seek out light. It's through you, not through what you tell them, not through what you sort of force feed them or like push on them, but just the way that you carry like yourself through life. Right? It's like people seek out successful people. You're already successful. Like, you're like, what you're doing already works. Again, with this Queen, or with this Page of Swords, you're in this position of proving it. It's already valid. It's already real. It already works. You're just in a position again of validating it for other people. Now the Queen of Swords is seeing things differently. The Queen of Swords also, it's like the Queen of Swords and the Six of Wands with the Princess of Swords right here. She's gonna give you the throne because of what you've already proven. And that's what the Sword family does. Just like the Knight of Swords up here, although it may be misguided, they stick to what they know, they stick to what they believe. Higher aligned Sword Court energy is always open to new information. It is also open to the things that they can't prove, that they see works, or that they know works. And a lot of times, we read sword energy as like knowing, as having that knowledge. But there are certain things like when we encounter the limitation of our abilities, sword family also has to be able to account for that. And like I don't know, or that's not proven, or there's no way, like that, it doesn't logically make sense. That's not always a valid answer. Especially the more into like spirit you get, the more into trust you get, the more into working with energies that aren't necessarily yet solidified because they haven't happened yet. They ain't happened yet. You ain't done what you need to do to get it yet. And we end the journey. The gnome ends its journey with the elephant. So again, shout out to Lord Ganesha and Vishnu, also Krishna. In this, like, there's the elephant. The elephant and the whale, two of the wisest creatures in this deck. Also, here's Earth. This is like, it's not the element of fire, but it holds the fire. And at the third eye, it's red. The third eye being the color red, connecting it to the root. It's amazing. I gotta go to the bathroom. Let's wrap this up. This is living that. This is establishing that. This is being the whale on Earth. So, both in the elements of connection, both in ethereal and less tangible ways, and in tangible, earthly, day-to-day, practical, experiential ways, it's wise, it's evolved, it's everything. And it isn't fire, but it's connected to it. Oh, gosh. There's that Ace of Swords. Bottom of the deck is the King of Cups. The King of Cups came out as the leading edge, or the ledge, for the in the April Fool's reading yesterday for the light side, right? Where'd that Queen of Wands go? Where did the Queen of Wands go? Queenie, where'd you go? Queen of Wands has vacated the premises. Queen of Wands is like, I ain't in this. Ooh. Oh, I love this. So clarifying the elephant, where you basically make it, this is an energy that's practiced. Again, that's why the Eight of Pentacles is here. It's like lived in a way that is very observable. Also, there's an energy, there's like a matriarchal energy rather than a patriarchal energy here. And so it's just like it switches the dynamic in which like spirit and nurturing and compassion and community is prioritized over the fulfillment of one's own desires. I mean, Ace of Swords, again, it's like every time I use this deck lately, the Ace of Swords comes out. The runes are there. The tree is there. The noose is empty. It's time for us to I don't know how to communicate it. It's time for us to grow through, like, growing through things rather than just going through them. It's time for us to grow through the setbacks. It's time for us to be nourished by Matariel's reign rather than cursing what we can't do. And like with the noose being empty, with this Ace of Swords, it's like the experiences have already happened. But the perspective that teaches us the magic that is these runes of life Like, that's on us now. And also what's on us is like learning how to use this knowledge, learning how to use this healing, this growth, this transformation, learning how to use our connection and our gifts in the unique ways to get us to understanding what these runes actually are. Right? Just like tarot is evolving and changing and other spiritual tools are evolving and changing, so too are the runes evolving and changing. And the runes doing what they did when Odin was around, or that the way that they were applied then, when life was very different, they can be applied to life now in ways that may be very different. I love that here's the Four of Swords coming up with the elephant again. First thing we saw in the Five of Pentacles was that Four of Swords, is that halfway earth energy. Here's complete earth energy again with the elephant. Four Swords there, Spirit's trying to point out where your healing is, where your rest is. It's taken here. Peace. And look, again, there's the fire. Warmed up by the fire. That fire is spirit. It's also like there's an element of your soul here. Because these fires are smaller. They're not raging fire. So it's not the all. It's the self. This, the alignment that was easy to sort of shift to another focus up here. Now it's aligned to the self by the end of it. The Ace of Swords and the Four of Swords is this Five of Swords here. That's us rising to that challenge, rising to the occasion, seeing what we needed to see in that Five of Swords moment. It's separating them, right? It's breaking the Five of Swords down to the Four of Swords and the Ace of Swords. So here's the conflict, here's the contention, here's you feeling abandoned by spirit. But again, everything that you needed to experience, the sacrifices have already been made. You've already paid for it, so you might as well get your money's worth. Learn what you were supposed to from those experiences. Create peace where there was conflict. Because the conflict didn't go anywhere. The Five of Swords energy is still here. But through that, you were able to see what you couldn't see. You can come into this foundation of peace that's everlasting. An ability to create an eye in any storm. Again, elephant. Very, very, very solid foundation. Doesn't matter what the weather is doing. One of the elephant's only predators is man. Again, with the sword energy, it's your own mind. Your own way of perceiving things and rationalizing things is what takes this out. Like, that's the elephant's only real predator. That's why, again, the shed up here is the Son of Swords. Knight of Swords energy. You moving forward with your perspective, what you believe is truth. Although it may not be capital T truth. Or even a greater truth. Because the knight, again, it has a limited understanding when compared to the king or the queen. And unlike the page, who has an even more sort of novice understanding, it's not new information. You're not necessarily... It's like you're reinventing the wheel, but you're doing it wrong. The page down here, she's like, got the blueprints to make a anti-gravity sort of technology. And so there's no contact between her and the ground, so it's a completely different principle. The king and the queen, though, is like, you're not even touching the ground. How do you get traction? How do you move forward? That's going to fail. That's dumb. And she's like, it doesn't touch the ground by design. It flies. It doesn't drag itself along the earth. It's a Quetzalcoatl energy. The winged serpent, rather than slithering on its belly. And Quetzalcoatl would have never soared if the snake wasn't cursed in the first place to slither on the ground. Right? Snakes used to have legs, and then after the Garden of Eden, God cursed the snake to slither on its belly. And you can... What's the most interesting is that, like, snakes have, tailbones? It's a vestigial structure. And it's like, wait, why do snakes have tailbones if they don't even have legs? But again, even that was planned for. Because now the snake has the ability to grow wings and fly. Again, that Quetzalcoatl energy, which is the Ace of Swords in the Spencer's tarot cards. And in my novelty deck, the Ace of Swords is Quetzalcoatl. So again, Ace of Swords energy. And then, what you didn't find here, where you found only heartbreak, misery, isolation, you come into the Three of Cups. which is celebration, which is community for you. Like, but the Three of Cups is community, is you authentically you being celebrated, not you trying to be someone else to fit into this community, and now you feel isolated because the love and acceptance that you get is for this persona that you put on. Masks off in this Three of Cups. Masks are off. Can you see that? Also, that one reminds me of the Queen of Swords. And she's right here. Let's see if I can do this. See that mask? And the Queen of Swords. Where's she? There we go. Because it's the blue line. Where are you at? There you go. I'll just hold them both up. That one reminds me of the Queen of Swords. That one and her. That's what you weren't finding up here. That's that Seven of Wands energy that came out with that Seven of Swords. You standing alone, it may be dark in the beginning. You being luminous, fully authentically you. You will draw to you, like moths to a flame, energies that are truly aligned for you. But if you make yourself dark, if you dim yourself, if you hide yourself, then you're going to attract in darker energies that don't support you in your light. Right? And that's what this is about. And so I'm not going to spoil the movie, but the gnome has made its journey to inspire you to begin yours. Are you going to make your journey? Or are you going to continue to rationalize away why you can't travel even though you have everything that you need? Again, the golden egg is at the bottom of the deck. Golden opportunity, but you don't have to take it. The Lover's right here. It's a choice and decision that you make. So that's what I have. This was a little longer. I'm going to go to the restroom. I hope you have a good whatever whenever you see this. I hope you're acting in alignment to make that which you wish to desire your reality, that which you wish to experience your reality, instead of acting in an alignment that makes that which you don't wish to experience your reality, right? The power is yours. Captain Planet, combine that earth, wind, air, and fire. Don't forget the most important element of all, heart. Even though my tea got crapped on, everybody's like, heart, ooh, that's a trash power. I'd rather have an element, right? I'd rather move the earth or summon a great gust of wind, cause a raging inferno, or flood somebody. Heart, what's that? Heart is the most important of all. Without heart, you get the evil Captain Planet who was looting and polluting instead of protecting like he should be. Alright, I'll catch y'all later. Bye.